You don't have to wait until you reach financial independence to start enjoying your life. You can do that much earlier and start living a life that you love and that's true to you. Welcome to Freedom Before FI. Using FIRE and life design techniques, we help you create freedom on your way to FI instead of waiting until you're retired to do the things that light you up. I'm your host Greg, a FIRE movement and life design enthusiast. If you're itching to get freedom now, then let's do this. Hello and welcome back to the show. So to cap off this theme about slow FI and slow living, I wanted to share some ways that I've managed to implement the slow FI philosophy in my journey. As you might know, I'm still on my journey to FI and it's not something that I'm actually rushing to anymore. I've implemented a lot of learnings to just enjoy the adventure, whether that's making physical changes in my lifestyle or reframing how I see things. It's not perfect and it's still a work in progress. But when I think about it, I don't think I'll ever come out of that work in progress mode. Life is always in progress, always moving and changing. We can do our best to try and guide it to what works for us. But if that doesn't work, just know that it's a process. You learn from it and then you figure out a new way. So at its core, slow FI is about using the benefits that you've gained along the path to FI to design a life that you don't want to retire from. So with that, here are some things I've done to enjoy my own FI journey. So these things might go against the grain of traditional FI teachings, but they've allowed me to design a life that brings happiness. Okay, so the first thing I've done to enjoy the journey was that I quit work to take a mini retirement. So in my lifetime, I've taken 3 mini retirements or sabbaticals on my journey. The first one was more of a year out after university type thing, and that was a 3-month break after graduating university. I explored around California for a bit. Now the second one was a solo 12-month official sabbatical, which I'd done in my early 30s. And then the latest one I'd done is the one I'd done with my wife in 2023, and that was for 16 months. So taking a break from work goes against the grain of traditional FI. Because on the FIRE path, you're not really supposed to quit work while you're accumulating. But that was an intentional life choice for us. For us, taking the recent mini retirement gave us the space to focus on things that really matter. Like spending quality time with my aging parents, traveling with the missus, volunteering, taking time to reflect, starting passion projects like growing vegetables, baking pizza, and even starting this podcast. It allowed us to experiment retired life together. I actually can't think of a better slow FI thing to do than mini retirements because you're actually doing the RE part of FIRE, albeit on a temporary basis. So if mini retirements or sabbaticals is something you need advice on, feel free to just drop me a line and my email address is in the show notes. Okay, so the second slow FI thing that I done was I stopped saving and investing. Ooh. Now this might seem criminal in the traditional FIRE space because FIRE is all about saving and investing. So during our sabbatical, we decided not to save and invest. We needed our existing savings to live off during that period. Of course, finances are super important, but the thing is, there's things that are even more important than money. Other than health, the other one is time. At the point of making the decision, our focus was about not losing time. The time to do the things that are meaningful to you. As you move along your own FIRE journey, things like making saving optional become available to you. And that usually happens when you hit the Coast FI milestone. And I'll talk about Coast FI on episode number 54, reaching Coast FI on an average salary. Feel free to have a listen if you wanted to know more. Okay, so the third slow FI thing that I've done was I moved away from a big city. Usually, living in a big city means you have more opportunities, there's more jobs, more things to do. But a few years ago, we moved away from living in the city centre of Manila, and we ended up moving about an hour away after we got married to a place that's a bit slower and with less things to do. Again, this was a lifestyle choice. In our stage of life right now, we enjoy the slower pace, the quieter areas, being closer to greener areas. Plus, it's cheaper. And since there's less things to do, you tend to spend less on going out, which is a bonus. But having said all that, you just never know. Maybe our priorities might change in the future and we decide to move back to the city. I mean, we do miss it here and there. Sometimes we take staycations in the city just to be around the bars and commotion. But then we enjoy coming back to the more quieter lifestyle though. Alright, so those are the 3 ways I've implemented Slowify in our journey so far. Thank you for spending your time with us today. If you need more help, you can check out our free guides and services on our website, freedombeforephi.com. If you have a burning question or just want to chat, don't hesitate to drop me an email at greg@freedombeforephi.com. If you found the show useful and want to be notified of future episodes, you can click follow on Spotify, Apple, or the app you're currently using right now. If you think the episode will help a friend or a colleague, feel free to share it with them. And lastly, if you learned just one good thing that will help you in your journey and you want to help us out, please do leave a 5-star rating on your podcast player app. That would help us out loads. So that wraps up the Slowify and Slow Living theme. Have an awesome week, and as always, practice gratitude, live life by your design, and do things that make you smile. You got this.